Scroll of Harakot appears to be along the lines of the Bible's revelations. This is a what if. I will be assuming it is ancient. That said, I do not claim one way or the other. This is only a what. SCL 33:3. From Ramaku of the seven cities, land of copper, came the people of the light, and they brought with them out of their transparent temples the light that shines when darkness falls without being lit, led by the old bald-headed one, he whose name is not spoken. They came out of the west at the sun setting. They came from the place where now the sun goes down, in the days when the western wilderness was green and sand had not replaced the waters, when the outlands nourished cattle and sheep fed, where now there is naught but rock and stone. The Turdinians welcomed them not, but they passed safely through the westward places to the land of Ansabiah, and were succored and fed. They brought to the people many things, for wise they were, and learned they were men of wisdom. Rumaka of the seven cities, land of copper, could be the Indus Valley region, but it also could be Mesopotamia. People of the light is mentioned in books 1 and 2 as the chosen of God. As for the transparent temples, the description is lightness shines when darkness falls without being lit. Temple could be a glass surrounding like a light bulb of what we would call a light bulb today. Anyway, that's my idea. Old bald-headed one, I suppose, could be a wise man, someone like Buddha. Came out of the west. I'd say the Hyksos, however, it qualifies by mentioning from the place where the sun goes down in the days when western wilderness was green and sand had not replaced the waters. Turdinians I thought might be Mesopotamia. The reason I thought Indus Valley could be the location of the seven cities. And Sabaya could be inhabitants of the Arabian Peninsula, or could be Canaan, what would become Canaan. Maybe Sodom and Gomorrah type thing. Anyway, that's my idea. SCL 33:4. Truth is not for the multitude. Dirty hands despoil fine linen. The high-born have their estates, and the lowly ones have their appointed places. Truth is not sold in the marketplace, nor can riches alone obtain it. Few entered the great chambers to die and to live. The temples were fine shells, but the kernel was dead inside. Men lacked the food of life. SCL 33:5. The true God was guarded and hidden by the false gods. He spoke in the hearts of the wise, but the people heard the voice in the stone. Their ears were closed to all but the voices of men. Small places there were in olden times for all gods. The pillars were not yet stood up, the stones were not yet in their places, and the house of hidden secrets was not yet in the land. Truth is not for the multitude. I took that to mean you must be open to the idea that you could be wrong. In short, the wisdom to ask, what if? Temples were fine shells. Lacked wisdom. They were unwilling to challenge their own beliefs, so they passed on sterility and stagnation to the youth. Food of life to me sounds like knowledge. The false gods, to me, are those who claim to know for sure the correct path. God is God, but the men who claim the right to demand we follow without questioning if they are right, they are the false gods. The path and answers are within you. Looking for answers in others is a fool's errand that will likely lead to suffering. SCL 33:6. Then temples were built in splendor, and priests were comforted in mansions. Great gardens and fields were the property of the gods of men. They had great herds of cattle in their pastures. Within the worship and ritual, amid the pomp and shrining, the little gods shone the light of truth, which was the revelation of the true God. It was known to few, and fewer understood it. First half here shows the falsity of the fake gods, whose only goal seems to be amassing earthly things and spout out anything so we, the masses, might think they truly speak with the voice of God. The truth is known to few, and even less understood it, a reference to the rigidness and fondness for earthly certainty over spiritual uncertainty. SCL 33:7. 7 years, men being chosen, waited and were called. 7 years they served, and 7 years they ministered at the feet of their masters of instruction. They were passed into bleak caverns to die, and know God, and called forth with the sure knowledge of truth. Thus men were made servants of the one true God. Thus they knew the truth which may not be written, for many read who are not with us in God. SCL 33:8. There are writings which speak truly, but they are no longer with us. The arisen ones know the secrets of the lesser gods, who are no more than these. The great scales weigh the soul by its appearance in the netherworld, and thus its place is appointed, its virtues form its food, but no man eats the filth that is his. Wisdom is passed down by mouth. 7 years being chosen, 7 years of service, 7 years of ministering at the feet of the masters of instruction. 21 years in total, followed by some trial, maybe along the lines of gases in caverns like the Oracle of Delphi, where you have a vision. SCL 33:9. He who devours souls is but the dark cave of horror, which opens to receive dark souls into affinitive darkness. The Rakima watches in silence. Patiently it sits, waiting for the day of the destroyer. It will come in 100 generations, as written in the great vault. SCL 33:10. All men are not equal in heart and spirit. Is the southern man learned, or the Ambric man brave? The land of incense bestows all good things upon its inhabitants, yet they are not great. The land of bright waters raises nothing but trees and grass, yet its people are strong, and the lion does not equal them in courage. Rakima, I don't think this is a devil or a god, even a false one. It doesn't fit with the rest. Could be a reference to the people of light, or maybe those masters that have been teaching. Day of Destroyer is mentioned many times in many religious texts. This talks about 100 generations. Sounds like whatever it is comes regularly. If we assume mid-30s for a generation, could bring us to the great year, one turn of the zodiac. If so, and if we believe that the Sphinx is meant to represent Leo, maybe the age of Leo would be when we should expect the next coming. SCL 33:11. Above are the waters of heaven, and below are the waters of the dark region. Yet there are not two waters, but one. There is the fire above and the fire below, yet there are not two fires, but one. The Lady of Ladies is arrayed in a radiant garment. When it dims, the great trial begins. Her footsteps do not waver. Her path is straight, but beware when she wavers and is inconsistent. This sounds like a reference to the two hemispheres. If they are one, even though they appear separate, that sounds like the sun only being visible in one part, leaving the dark for the other half. If that is the intent and this is ancient, do the scholars believe ancient Egypt would have that knowledge of this phenomena? As far as the lady goes, it could be the earth and a warning that of earth movement, like earthquakes, volcanoes.